Okay, Dad, give me your full name
Sherman Lavelle Jones,
and what year were you born?
1958.
And where did you grow up?
San Oh, first Compton, California, and from 1 to 13, 0 to 13, you might as well say, and then from 13 on, San Jose, California.
Okay, and how was it growing up in San Jose?
In San Jose?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, San Jose, matter of fact, for me, it was when I first moved there, it was definitely a cultural shock because I'm coming from the city and San Jose was like country,
Mm-hmm.
then. So, being in the city, it's a concrete jungle. And now you going, where horses and cows and, two-lane culture, it was a whole different culture. Trust and believe that one.
Yes. Did you go to college in San Jose or
Yes, I
what
went
did
everything, high school, college, in San Jose.
what college did you go to?
I went first to San Jose City College, and then I went to from there. I went from San Jose City, and I went into the military, and then when I got out of the military, I went to San Jose State
What military branch were you in?
Navy.
Okay.
6 years Navy.
Um, did you do any sports while you were in college?
Oh, that's how I got to college. It was I went to well 4 year college. I went to track and field scholarship. But back when I was coming out, see, you got to graduate. I graduated from high school in 1976, and so believe it or not, junior college and college, 4 year colleges, there wasn't really too much of a difference in the two of them back in those days. You could have a junior college that was just as good, if not better, than a 4 year college. And for my sport, especially San Jose, the city of San Jose was known as Speed City, which means it was probably one of the best track and field or the most well renowned track and field city in the world. So if you had any kind of talent, which the Lord just blessed me with, we got the best coaching as kids, high school, everything. So even though I really wanted to go like USC or someone like that, um, at the time that I was growing up, San Jose City, San Jose State were two of the best in the world. So for my sports, you stayed right there at home.
Okay. What? How was the political climate back then?
Civil rights movement. I can remember all during my junior high, kind of first part of my high school, we had the Angela Davis thing going on, her trials. And what I really liked about being in the Bay Area, you had the Panther Party up there. So all the stuff that you're seeing on TV now with all the protesters at Cal Berkeley and Angela Davis trial and all the stuff in the parks and stuff. I was able to see that firsthand. I was there in those street concerts. I was there to get to see the marches. And I didn't participate in them, you know, because I wasn't one for getting bit with dogs and get beat down, all that stuff, But it was very interesting, to watch,
Mm-hmm.
them fighting for. We had. It was on the ground floor of us having, Black history classes, things like that. And back when I was growing up, especially you talk about then, the black church played a very big, significant role in our neighborhoods because everybody went to the same church. Your teachers, the doctors, the whoever, the janitor, we all on Sunday came in. Your parents didn't have to wait to go to parent teacher night. They could talk to your teacher on Sunday, and you'd be trying to hope that you didn't get be able to sit down and eat dinner on Sunday night.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
so funny.
yeah. So yeah. Prayer started like, oh please don't say nothing. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how would you say society's changed since then? So you say you grew up in the civil rights era. How,
Yeah.
you feel like society's changed any?
society has changed in two ways, far as I'm concerned. I think, far as racial tension is concerned, it's
Mhm.
definitely a lot like it was in the '60s, in the '70s.
Mhm.
That's not there. But we're also not there, especially if you're talking from a black unity type of thing. I don't think that the black unity is there. I think as things got laxed, far as the racial climate is concerned, is like this false sense of security came into our neighborhoods where we didn't need to do business with ourselves anymore. We didn't need to, we want and for me, integration went overboard. It's like what Martin Luther King said: "We would just want to be your brother and not your brother-in-law." And what that meant is not so much we want to become white; we just want to have equal laws and
Mhm.
things like that. But when we could start moving into the white neighborhoods and things like that, I think it was more of that, and instead of having an equal opportunity to build our own neighborhoods.
Mhm.
We left our neighborhood. And I think the worst thing that also happened is we want to blame white people for everything, and you can't. Our black leaders have dropped the ball in a lot of ways. Even Martin Luther King even admitted that I really felt that I led my people, into a burning building. So our over exuberance to integrate really hurt a lot of our institutions.
Yes. Okay. Um, did our family like come from anything like where does our family like originate from?
Well, my mom's side of the family, it originates from the East Coast, and my father's side of the family, Midwest and South.
Okay.
That's where they that's where they integrate and interesting. And my your grandmother, Sweetie, which we know as Sweetie, she was a coal miner's daughter. So her father actually was I don't know what tribe, but her father was actually Indian. They called him Chief Maxwell. I can
Mhm.
remember that. Her talking about him all the time. And he was a coal miner bootlegger. And she came from a place called um, Arvella, Pennsylvania. And Arvella, Pennsylvania was like way in the hills somewhere, way in the back country, coal country, which we would call the hillbilly country.
Mhm.
And so your grandmother, that's where we get all the etiquette and all that from, because she actually worked for a prominent like white doctor, and she was like the maid to the doctor's wife.
Okay.
And also back in those days, sometimes the maid also became a companion, like to the doctor's wife, because they
Mhm.
did all the cooking, care for them, and all like that. But she's the one that taught um, my grandmother, about business. That's why she was such a good entrepreneur.
Mhm.
She taught her, how to really entertain, and serve people. Your grandmother was really big on serving and
Mhm.
everything. Well, she had to do that for the doctor's
Mhm.
office. And how your grandfather ended up meeting Jay, ended up meeting Sweetie, with their name was Jesse and Mary. Your grandfather always worked for furniture companies and office furniture and moving van lines and things like that were back in the 40s, and stuff
Mhm.
like that, especially before World War II, because
Mhm.
your grandfather was in World War II.
Yes.
That was like a prominent job,
Okay.
for blacks, and so what happened was your grandmother was was your grandfather was delivering furniture, to the doctor's house. And a lot of the doctors back in those days, not only did they go to the hospital, they had their offices. The doctor's offices was actually like a wing off the house. And so the your grandmother and the lady were getting facials, And so your grandmother said when she met your grandfather, your great grandfather,
Mhm.
she had the was those cucumbers on her eyes
Mhm.
and all the mask on her face and all
Yes.
like that. But you know, your grandmother was very shapely and all like that. So your grandfather was standing there staring at her while she was getting the facial, and she was like, "Well, who's there?
Okay.
Who's there?" And so pretty much that's how they met. He kept coming back. Can I give you a ride home? You know, that type of thing. On your grandfather's side, my dad's side, your your our family were known for raising cattle.
Okay.
And actually, the Jones side of the family, where we get our name, started out in Texarkana, Texas, and that was a really big like where they raised cattle and stuff like that. But your grandfather was one of the best cattle raisers, and prize bulls and all like that. So how the family ended up from Texarkana, Texas to Oklahoma, a big cattle rancher in Oklahoma uh, wanted your grandfather to come and raise his cattle and promised him all this land and basically gave him all this land for himself and all this kind of stuff. So the Joneses were kind of well-to-do blacks for back in that era.
Mhm.
Okay, and then actually, I'm talking about your dad's dad, my dad's dad.
Mhm.
Okay, so that would be my great grandfather. Your great great grandfather was a
Okay.
prize bull. Now, my dad's dad was a pretty well off guy because his dad gave him a bull and a cow when he was like 6 or 7 years old, and unto their unbelief, he breeded them, and so he started his own herd just from those two cows.
Yes.
So by the time he's 15, 16 years old, him and his father were on the same accord, and Uncle Hot and them, who were older than, because my dad's name was JC. Okay, and he was the youngest out of the brothers, but they would have to come to him for money because he would, when his father would go in town and sell the bulls and stuff. Well, he would be taking his herd in there and selling. So it's almost like he had his own little pasture to himself,
Mhm.
while the other kids and everything were working with your great grandfather. Now,
Okay.
how your grandmother ends up, which were the Walkers, okay, which is a huge family in Oklahoma. Well, the Walker family actually worked for the Jones family.
Okay.
And then that's how Ethel May and JC got together because the Walker boys and the Jones boys were good friends, and the rest is history. Matter of fact, in our family, you have two. You have a sister and a brother that married a sister and a brother. That's
Okay.
how the Walker and the Jones are so entwined. That's why when we go down there, everybody looks, you know, because you have, like I said, you have a sister and a brother out of the same family, and then they had 19 kids apiece, and those kids had kids, So my like your grandmother, Big Mama, she had like 9 kids, and then those kids had kids. So growing up, and this is why you always hear me talking about it. That was the best time of my life because I had 24 cousins.
Mhm.
Now it might have been hard on the parents, but we had a great time. We were the football team, and we didn't have to go down the street and get it.
Mhm.
And the girls was just as good as like growing up when girls and boys are the same. That's why you ain't Jimmy Lee and all that stuff tight. She was right there. She braid her little hair up and put herself in. Let's go. Where the game at?
Yes. Okay. So that's we have a lot of family. Let's see what else, Dad.
Yeah.
How?
That's what's changed. When you ask me what has really changed,
Mhm.
that's how family has changed.
Okay.
I really feel bad for that my children, which are you, never got to experience something like that. Being on the block where mostly all the family lives on the same street, being at Big Mama's house, and making the tents in the living room, and you got 10 kids in the house, 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, and everybody's taking baths together or sleeping in the same bed. Everybody in the kitchen, you got 9 or 10 kids. So we didn't have chairs, we had benches for you to sit on at the table because you had to pack everybody in there. So all the kids that were, and I would have been in the young, so I'm the oldest grandchild. So, and also, I'm first generation California for our family.
Okay.
Okay, so because both sides of the family came to California after World War II,
Okay.
because California was one of the liberal states where blacks could come and buy houses.
Okay, I didn't know that. That
Yeah,
was
and Compton, before they start what we call redlining,
right.
okay, is where they call it the hub city, and that's where a lot of blacks and everything until they start redlining and decided that they weren't going to sell to blacks anymore, and then they kind of start migrating blacks over, and that's where you have now Centennial High. You starting to get towards Watts and all the South Central area, and they kind of start pushing all the blacks in over that area where you hear high schools like Jefferson High, L.A. Jordan, and all those kind of schools over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's how. That's how. Yeah.
So what would you say like you overcame in your life?
When you say like overcame, like
Yeah, have you overcame anything in your life? Like, what do you think is?
well, one of the things is that I overcame. I know one thing that really started that I'm proud of. I started um, the era of going to college. I was the first male on both sides of the family to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
College wasn't a going to school, going to college wasn't a big thing, especially for the males, because most of the males, now I'm really kind of talking about my father's side of the family,
Mm-hmm.
um, were entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Okay. So they didn't buy into you go to school and really learn how to go work for IBM or Apple or anything like that. They believed in you go out there with Uncle Joe and learn how to build this house over here,
Mm-hmm.
and then we keep all the money in the family. So, and then also, I learned from really my father's side of the family, they were homeowners. They believed in owning their own and this and that. Now on my mother's side of the family, that was your grandmother. She was that entrepreneur, beautician. No, nobody make more money than Sweetie.
Yes.
But she didn't brag about it and all like that. But that's what really kept our family really having nice things, because not only did your grandmother Sweetie, that's what they called her Sweetie, she not only made good money because of all the money she was making. I mean, she was on the ground floor of the weaves coming in and all like that. But your grandmother was more of those Madam CJ people that
Yeah.
help people's hair grow.
Yes.
That's what that was what she was famous for.
Okay.
People who had a hard time having hair or patches grown, or people who have been through some kind of cancer or leukemia or something like their hair had fallen out. Where your grandmother was all into these natural herbs and all this kind of stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
she would really she spared no expense on she was a very quality person,
Yes.
and she would help women grow their hair, and I mean they loved her for that.
Okay.
But how we prospered from that is, Big Buck Willie. I remember my grandmother would come home so tired and she would just throw her purse out, and I would have to organize her money, and this is why I learned about banking. And Sweetie was neat. You know
Yes.
that. And you would have to put everything down to the pennies over here, dimes and all this kind of stuff. And I remember she had a vase, about the real tall vase, and she would keep all her change in the vase. It would almost like you almost needed a forklift to pick this, pick
Yes.
this. But she saved all the coins. That's where I got that from. And then my grandmother um, taught me about banking. But part of her banking was money she was gonna give away. So she always had like a Christmas um, account, and
Okay.
all the money that she put in this Christmas account was separate. And then when it came time for shopping, she had already saved all the money all year that who she was gonna give to her grandkids and buy you this and everything like that. So you always got what you needed. It maybe not have been everything that you wanted, but you got everything you needed and somewhat of what you wanted, and you never really had to. You had any type of emergencies or thing like that, my grandmother was the one you really went to. I hate to say you didn't go to my grandfather's, but the women in the family, when you really needed
Mhm.
something, that's that's who you had to go to.
Okay. Let's see what else, Dad.
Wow, you making me remember stuff.
Let's, did we saying this is different? What are some? What are? Did we say? Did we do? What are some things you've overcome in your life? We said what you faced.
I think my major thing is overcoming the educational barriers in our family, and I didn't um I don't maybe I don't understand like overcome, like did I have like any deficiencies or
No,
something like
like
that?
did like any challenges, like any hard challenges you had to overcome or something in your life?
No, because I've always been um coming from a single mom and stuff like that, I was always like
Mhm.
in the father brother type of a role. So I didn't really you know, I can't really think of anything that my parents always kept me busy, so I can't really say I had this hardships and so forth. And then on top of that, even if you had hardships, you really didn't know that it was a hardship. Just something you had to do and get through, and that was life. You know. Now maybe later on you might have found out, hey man, you overcame that, but while you was going through it, you didn't really know. Maybe that's really why it's kind of rough for me to answer that.
Yes. Dad, growing up, did you like experience any racial?
Definitely. Oh Lord.
That's
Oh
definitely.
Lord. Oh Lord Jesus. Oh yeah, buddy.
So growing up
Definitely.
in the because you grew up in the civil rights era, have you ever experienced police brutality?
Definitely.
Just
Been
for
beat
being,
up by the police, everything else, just for being black in the wrong place.
yeah.
Yeah, buddy. I can remember the first time I really had police brutality. I was on the bus. I was in the Navy. I was on the bus in San Diego, getting ready to go from San Diego to San Jose. I was the only black person on the bus, and the bus driver told me that when he got on the bus, he just looked at me straight out and told me, "I don't want to hear a word that come out of your mouth." The whole time, when he got on the bus, I'm the only black person on the bus. I don't know nobody. So I'm looking around to see who he talking to because I wasn't saying nothing. I'm over by the window trying to be quiet anyway, right?
Mhm.
And so when I said excuse me, and then he said it again, I said, man, just leave me alone. I'm just trying to get to L.A. And then I was sitting. The guy got off the bus, and then next thing I know, it was a plain clothesman that came on the bus. And so when he came on the bus, he said, "Excuse me, sir, can I talk to you?" And some white person hollered out, "The bus driver is prejudiced, and he just picking on this guy for nothing." I didn't need that help, but anyway, somebody said that. So real nice, really nice. The policeman asked me. He says, "Well, can you step outside, sir, so we can talk to you?" Well, you know how you got to step down out of the bus?
Mhm.
My feet never hit the ground. San Diego PD was waiting on me. I didn't know they had surrounded the bus for whatever reason.
Mhm.
They grabbed me, two guys that were like about 6'6" or something like that, 200, and they took me and they slammed me up against a brick wall. That was two cops, and the third cop came and kneed me in the groin, and those three cops
Oh
just
my
beat me.
God.
They just
That's horrible.
they just beat me down. But fortunate for me, I was in a real shape, at the time. And so the black people standing around, and this one old guy told me, because I was asking for help, like, help me, don't let them beat me like this. And
Terrible.
they were beating me up. And so then this one black man who, that loads the buses, he said, son, and his wall, and they're still beating me up while he's saying this. And he said, son, just relax.
Yeah.
Just relax and stuff. So I took a deep breath and I relaxed, and then they finished beating the heck out of me. and
Dad, it's not funny,
yeah,
but
and then
I'm laughing.
they dropped me down to the ground. They threw my
I'm
and this
not
is what
laughing at it. That's terrible because people go through that
yeah,
all the
and then it
time,
was
so it's not
yeah,
funny.
and it
It's
was Christmas time.
horrible,
It was
man.
Christmas time. They threw all, and I was going home, visit Sweetie and Jake. They
Yeah.
were still living in Los Angeles at the time. And I get there, my lips jacked up. I got the, everybody's going like, oh,
How
you
old
know,
were you, Dad?
19,
Oh,
20,
wow. And what year
19,
was this?
20 years. That would have been 1978, 79, around in that area. More
Okay.
77, 78.
And were you in the Navy or
I was
getting
in the
out? You
Navy.
were like coming to visit, or were
I
you?
was in the Navy. My ship had come back in. I was going home
Mhm.
on a leave to visit my family who was coming, who had came down to Los Angeles. We were all going to Sweetie's house
Okay. Did you ever experience any discrimination like in the Navy?
all day,
And like,
all day.
can you
They
kind of,
hated me.
yeah, and can you kind of say like why is it was because you were smart? Like tell about like
That's exactly
when
why.
you
I was
have to
I was
back
considered
then.
a smart. I was considered what they would consider, because see, I went to college first,
Uh huh.
and then into the Navy.
Mhm.
So when you go into college first, they give you college credits,
Right.
and your college credits mean stripes on your arm.
Okay.
So they got E1, E2, E3, and stuff like that. So I skipped 3 ranks because I had college credits when I went in there. So you have people who resent you for that.
Mhm.
Okay. Then on top of that, I was the first world class athlete to ever go into the Navy. So simultaneously, I'm coming from the junior nationals and college state champion and all this kind of stuff. My freshman year coming out of college, athletes like that don't go into the Navy, but your dad ended up in the Navy. But when the Navy, when I was in boot camp, I had a fan that was in there because I had been really good athlete ever since I was like a junior in high school.
Mhm.
And then I lit the world on fire as a freshman in college, like freshman sensation type of thing.
Mhm.
And so he was in boot camp. Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is?
Mhm.
And so he went and told the company commander, do you know who that is? And then at that time, track and field news was like the book for everybody. So when my company commander saw that my name and all this in the book, and he said, "Hey man, are you this guy right here?" And I was saying yes. And so then they let Washington know. Did you know that we have Sherman Jones here? In boot camp. And so then when the Navy found out that I was in boot camp, at that time, unfortunate for me, in the Navy, the civilians they ran the sports programs and things like that. Most athletes went to the Army or something like that. They had things set aside. The United States pretty much has set aside guys who come in the Army to be able to compete in the Olympics and stuff like that. Navy and stuff like that, they weren't set up for that.
Mhm.
But being that I was such a great athlete, the Navy made exceptions for me. Now, when I say they made exceptions for me, the admirals, the Washington D.C., all of them. But these people down here, they resented it,
Mhm.
and so that's what made it. They made it very. They made it as far as base life for me. They made it very hard for me. So I had to move off the base to avoid military police and everything like that. And this is to give you an example, daughter. I came home. I came on the base one time, and this when your older brother Sherman Jr. was a baby, and I was carrying him on my shoulders. Make a long story short, I had a base police guy trying to run me over while I had your brother on my shoulders. Of course, me and him gets into it, and I beat the brakes off of him, and then they went and put me in a cage, just like an animal, you know. But what saved me from that was your grandfather. Is people talk about the masonry and all like that, but because he was a mason, he was able to call some highfalutin people,
Mhm.
that was part of the masonry and all like that. And they end up calling the captain on the Navy base, and they weren't able to do to me whatever it is that they were going to do to me because of the connections that your grandfather had within the masonry, and then also his godson was also a colonel in the Air Force, and so he ended up calling the base. And then your uncle Junior was a major in the army, and he ended up calling the base. So we had all these high office ranking officers that they let them know we're watching this. We're watching to see what you do to him.
Mhm.
And so what ended up happening is we went to captain's mass, and they ended up reprimanding the police officer. But he had a. When I got on the base, they were letting me know that this particular officer beats up blacks.
Mhm.
But I didn't think I had to worry about it because I didn't live on the base.
Right.
I would just come in on the base and collect my paychecks and all like this. How people on the base found out who I was. I had won the Navy versus Marine championship and all like this. And Admiral Zink was this guy's name. He had this outstanding bet with the we have captains and the Marines have generals. And so he had this outstanding bet all the time that the Marines was already always going to beat the Navy. When I came in, the Navy never had an athlete like me. And so they told the admiral, we got a secret weapon this time. So realistically, they sent me to Millington, Tennessee, and I was training and everything, and because they didn't want nobody to see me training, didn't want to warn them that it.
Mhm.
And so then when we had the competition, I just tore them a new behind, set all kind of records, and all this kind of stuff. And this general had to pay off this admiral for the
Okay.
first time. And so I've still got pictures of me and him. And he said, son, where is it where you want to go and whatever you want to do? And this admiral became like a friend to me.
Mhm.
So I had this admiral that was a friend to me. Oh man, it was great for me and my family, but it wasn't great for me far as dealing with jealousy and all this kind of stuff. And then I would be getting all these awards, and then they would call you out in front of the whole base. And so now all these people are seeing you, and so you get tagged like you're this special person,
Yeah.
you know. And so I couldn't wait. But sports is what saved me from the racism and all that too, because I was a world class athlete. I was assigned to the Navy. After a while, I got assigned to the Navy track and field team and to whatever other competition that I qualified for. So once I ran, you know how it is, you ran track.
Mhm.
Once you run a qualifying time,
Yeah.
it qualifies you for to go wherever you needed to go.
Right.
So I was representing the Navy all over.
Yeah.
So long as I wore a Navy uniform while I was competing, they were fine with it. So, like I said, the young people they loved it because I made the Navy look good, as far as PR purposes and all like
Yeah.
that. Also, they were using me for recruiting purposes. I
Yeah.
was the sticker boy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But everybody else, because I was doing that, you have to get observed. Like you're on your job and you get an evaluation.
Right.
So all my evaluations would say not observed, not observed, not observed, not observed. So they wouldn't give me an evaluation so I could make rank to go to the next rank.
Okay.
But had I been in the army, they would have gave me rank because of everything that I was doing to make the army look good.
Okay.
The Navy went the opposite way. We're never gonna promote you and things like that. So being that I knew that they were never going to allow me to promote, I just used track and field to to my to my benefit. Now it was even down that colleges wanted to pay the Navy to let me out because what I was trying to prove is that the Navy's really holding me back,
Mhm.
my life. But they was, you belong to the Navy. This and that was their thing. But soon as they let me out, other colleges were ready to give me, scholarships to come and stuff like that. But I wanted to go home, and then I went back. I've had the same coaches from high school through college through the whole thing. So
Mhm.
that's why I went back to San Jose, went back to, and then Coach Pointer, who
Mhm.
gave me a full scholarship to come to San Jose. And while I was at San Jose State, we were number one team in the nation.
Okay. Okay, Dad. Let's see. What else can we just ask Dad? What is your hope for the future, Dad?
The world or myself?
For yourself, Dad? Well, a little bit of both.
For myself, I'm hoping that I can bring back as they say, some of that old time religion to my family. I want your child to be able to have a sense of family. Families to me are now, they don't have the unity that I enjoyed.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of our generations kind of above us have messed that up. So it's my major goal to stop what we call biblically a lot of generational curses, in our family. That if we don't bring it together, if your generation don't bring it together, then our family will start getting smaller and smaller and divided and divided. To give you an example of that is right now it's just my mother and myself. Right now I
Mhm.
know there's other family out there, but because of the unity split, when my mother dies, I don't know any other family on my mama's side of the family
Right.
that will all die with her because of whatever went on in their generation. We wasn't exposed to that, and I think you even know that with me, that I'm saying there's a lot going on with the parents that is affecting, the relationship with the children who don't have anything to do with what went on, you
Mhm.
know. And I think that hurts family. I understand because some people just jacked up. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? But for the kids, a cousin for to me for a cousin to to end up not liking another cousin in the family because the mother don't like that mother, I think that's crazy.
Mhm.
I think that's crazy. So and I'm hoping what's going on now, especially with your brother Tremel, he keeps saying, Dad, if the men get it together, then the women can follow. Now, my harsh reality is accepting some things can't be fixed.
Mhm.
So if it can't, like your mama said, if it can't be fixed, then you gotta learn to move on it. So that's why I'm learning how to set boundaries.
Yeah.
Okay, and accept that some things just can't be fixed.
Right.
I'm I'm 65 and my older, but I'm just starting to get it, and it taking you, your brothers and all like that. You guys give me a harsh reality when you tell me stuff like that, but because of the love you guys give me, I'm able to work through it.
Yes.
Okay. Um, far as the world is concerned and us, I wish that black people would come together as a unity, that we will become a power both financially and people wise, so we can compete on a world level.
Church.
And I'm not saying that I'm trying to be better than white people and all like that, but if we brought if we brought ourselves together, hey baby, if we brought ourselves together in unity, economically and politically and educational wise, there wouldn't be another group of people.
Come down here, Louis.
We will become a world power.
Mm-hmm.
Ourselves, and it's not to take over. Is this That's the way that's going to bring equality. You're not going to get equality from people who don't want it.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, baby? Come on.
Okay.
How you doing, baby?
Right, amazing. Okay, last
Grand
question
Rising.
because Louis just woke up. What advice? What does it say? What advice would you give my class? Or would you give advice to the students?
This is a Black History class, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Black history, to me, Black history is world history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and when you study Black history from its factual and from a sociological point, what I mean from a like I'm a sociologist, well that means you're studying it and you're studying it from just the facts. You're not putting your personal opinion in it or anything like this. This is the fact. So my advice to your class is to learn things from
Yes.
a sociological way to where you're just going with the facts and not your emotion on how to fix things, and for us to come together. And knowing your history is just letting you know where we were and how we got through and where we are now.
Okay.
And how we're gonna make things better. So you only way you're gonna make things better is with the facts. And then on top of that, your class have to understand this big fact. Any revolution is always started by young people. Always spearheaded by young people. Now you might have the older people like myself giving you guys mentorship and giving you knowledge and all like that. But the moving force, is like teaching and preaching. Teaching is gives you the knowledge. Preaching helps you get from point A to point B. Okay. But when you go back and you look at history, even though you had the older people and people, you got to realize that Martin Luther King was in his 30s. All these guys, they might, because of stress, they look old. And then maybe because of the way they dressed, they might have looked older.
Yeah.
But they were all really under 40 years old.
Right.
I'm 60 some years old. Where you think I could have been out there running or something or marching for 20 miles? No. Now I might can help you organize it. And I might can teach you and give you a history like what you guys are doing now. But it's going to take you guys to advance us and to move us forward. And then also, my advice is to help the older people. Understand. Stop, Louis, please. Come on, Louis.
We're almost done. We're almost done.
To realize that we need you just as much as you need us.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, Dad. Thank you.
Thank you. Taking me down memory lane.
This is gonna be so funny.